Today was a day off from school, yet the press was wearing a stern expression since morning. This is bad. She was clearly frustrated, and she looked wholly unlike her usual self, pacing back and forth between my room and the first floor of my home. Riaz is acting very strangely, Ozzy remarked, watching anxiously from her seat beside me. Just as Ozzy had said, the prez had been behaving oddly all morning. She started cleaning the house out of nowhere and was repeatedly checking on her appearance every 10 minutes. We had recently returned from our intense battle against the evil Norse god Loki. The second-year students at Kuo Academy would soon be leaving for a trip to Kyoto. As such, the other second years and I really needed to go shopping soon to prepare for travel. But right now, all I could think about was the prez. Is something wrong? I asked cautiously. Riaz turned around, answering sternly. My sister-in-law is coming. Your sister-in-law? You mean Grayfia? The press fell silent at my response. Grayfia was a maid in the service of the House of Gremory. She was deeply involved with all the family's doings, from settling their personal schedules to managing their finances. On top of that, she was also the wife of the Prez's older brother, Sir Zex, a demon king. This made her Riaz's sister-in-law, in addition to being the House of Gremory's maid. The Prez typically referred to Grayfia by her name, so why did she abruptly start addressing her as sister-in-law? It was Akano who tried to clear up my confusion. Today is Grayfia's day off, you see. So that means she's technically not a maid right now. Indeed. Typically, Grayfia and Riaz keep a servant-master relationship, but it's a different matter when she's not on the clock. Only then does Grayfia become Riaz's sister-in-law. The president is scared of Grayfia when she becomes her sister-in-law. It sounds like she's really strict. Konako remarked. Now I understood why the prez was fretting. Nodding, Zenobia said. So even the president has someone she can't handle. Although the prez was destined to be the next head of the noble house of Gremory, she was still a teenage girl. So basically, she went into full sister-in-law mode. I was kind of intrigued to see how she and Riaz reacted. Just what kind of marvelous topics would those two beauties discuss? Judging by how nervous the prez was, I couldn't help but worry that something less marvelous was about to happen. I'm guessing she decided to spend her day off visiting my place? I inquired. Akano let out a soft chuckle. Indeed. There must be a matter she wishes to discuss with Riaz as her sister-in-law. While the prez went about her tidying, Akano and I sat down and continued talking. You can't make this place any neater than it already is, prez. I need to prepare some tea as well. Issei, make sure that you're properly dressed. She will undoubtedly want to take a look at you while she's here. The prez said as she fixed my collar and checked my hair. Me? What does she want with me? You... She paused there, her face turning red. You're, special. Special? I didn't really get it. Was it because Riaz lived with me? Or maybe it was due to all the training I had been subjected to in the underworld during summer vacation. We had visited Riaz's home during that time, and people made a big fuss over me for some reason. I was put through dance lessons, a crash course in her family's history, and other exercises that the rest of the familia weren't. Even now, I wasn't sure what that all had been for. To top things off, the Gremory servants kept calling me young master. Try as I did to rack my brain for an answer, I couldn't come up with one. That was the sound of the doorbell. Seeing the president's reaction, I had a pretty good guess who had just arrived. Riaz heard downstairs, and she headed for the front door. The rest of us exchanged concerned glances before following after her. A beautiful silver-haired woman, dressed like nothing if not a celebrity, was standing in the entrance of my home. I recognized her at once. Her clothes and hairstyle were at odds with her usual maid outfit, but she was definitely Grayfia. She was wearing her hair up, and her outfit appeared to be very expensive. Whoa. She was striking even in her usual maid getup, but today she was utterly gorgeous. Normally, Grayfia visits us via a magic circle. Today, however, she knocked on the door like an average visitor. She must have wanted to take a different entrance because she was in sister-in-law mode. As though Grayfia's own appearance wasn't glamorous enough, there was a luxurious limousine parked behind her. It definitely befit the wife of a demon king. Grayfia regarded us all pleasantly. "Good morning, everyone." She flashes a graceful smile before focusing her eyes on the Prez. Cheerfully, she added, "Good morning, Riez." "Good morning, sister-in-law." The Prez did her best to return the smile, but it was clear as day how nervous she was. It's been so long, princess," came a voice that was definitely not Grayfia's. A strange creature stood in the doorway with her. Its face was shaped like an eastern dragon's, but its whole body was covered in crimson scales. The torso, however, looked more like that of a horse or a deer. It must have measured around 2 meters in size. Whatever the case, I had never laid eyes on this thing before. What is this creature that had spoken? It must have realized I was staring at it as the creature bowed its head to me. "You must be the Red Dragon Emperor. It's a pleasure to meet you at last. I'm Sir Zex Pawn. Enku is my name. How do you do?" It talks, and so politely at that. Yes, it's nice to meet you," I responded, doing my best to be courteous, but it was hard to believe that a voice belonged to the dragon being. Enku, right? Hold on. He serves Sir Zex. That means... "Issei, Enku is a legendary Kirin, and a member of my brother's familia. It's nice to see you again too, Enku. You look well." The Prez patted his neck. These days, people tended to associate the word Kirin with a giraffe, as that was the Japanese word for the animal. This Enku guy was obviously the sort of Kirin that appeared in ancient myths and legends, however. Even I had heard of those things. I might have not known the details, but I recognized them from ancient Chinese folklore. Man, to think that Sir Zex had an actual Kirin in his familia. And while Enku might have been a pawn, he was clearly worth more than just 1 or 2 pieces. I was a pawn myself, but he was obviously far beyond me. Enku addressed Grayfia. "If you require nothing more of me, I shall retire to my post." "Yes, thank you for the escort, Enku. I would have been fine coming by myself, though." "Don't say that. You are our queen, and the wife of our master. It would be unthinkable to let you on such journey alone. Not that I believe anyone would be able to threaten you in the slightest. Were they to catch you by yourself. In any event, I thought it would be nice to bring some good fortune to the Red Dragon Emperor's abode. I'm glad to see the princess and the new young master for myself." So, that was it. It sounded like a big deal for Grayfia to make an official visit here as his ex-wife and Rias' sister-in-law. Hold on. Did he just call me young master? What exactly was my position here? Plus, there was a bit about good fortune. Akano must have noticed my bewilderment as she whispered in my ear. "Kirins are supposed to bring favorable luck. They say that whenever one visits your house, you can expect something good to happen there." "Oh, well, thank you then. A pleasant surprise would be welcome." "By the way, Sir Zex is the only demon to have successfully recruited a sacred Kirin into his familia. Normally, Kirins are completely incompatible with demons. The fact that Sir Zex was able to overcome that natural antipathy is what sets him apart from the rest of us," Akano explained. Seriously? The Prez's brother is truly something else. "You can stay with us for a while, Enku." The Prez appeared forlorn at the idea of leaving him so soon. "It's enough for me just to hear you say that. I have duties of my own. As a member of Lord Sizek's Familia, I'm needed back in the underworld. Truthfully, I would like to run through the hills and dales with you, on my back again someday, Princess. But I must take my leave, however. I look forward to meeting you all again. With those parting words, Anku vanished in a cloud of crimson mist. He often lent his ear when I lived in the underworld, and he gave me rides too, the prince stated with a soft smile. Anku had watched over her as she grew up, I guess. The prince evidently let herself sink into recollection. When Grayfia let out a faint cough, however, her expression changed to one of nervous anxiety. That should be enough for formalities. May I come inside? Grayfia asked. And so, the prince's sister-in-law stepped foot into my house. I'm relieved to hear that Riaz isn't causing you any trouble. No, not at all. It's thanks to her that I'm allowed to stay here. Grayfia and Ozzy were in the midst of a conversation. Riaz's sister-in-law was cheerfully speaking to each of us in turn. The prince was sitting next to me, clearly doing her best not to let her smile falter for even a brief instant. I could tell how uncomfortable she felt. All of us here are gathered around the table, including Azia, Akano, Konoko, Zenobia, and Irina. Incidentally, my parents were away on some kind of errand today. Riaz can be somewhat selfish sometimes, so I was a little concerned that she might be inconveniencing her familia members. Not at all, Akano replied, coming to the prince's defense. Riaz is our leader and has arranged us all to live here on homestay. She takes excellent care of all of her servants. Akano was so reliable. She and Riaz were really great friends. You're fortunate to be blessed with such good companions, Riaz, Grayfia commented with a grin. As she looked around at each of us, I could sense that she was genuinely pleased. However, Grayfia's expression altered a bit when it rested on the Prez and me. Why was it always something to do with me? Now we need to consider the gentleman. With that remark, the whole room turned tense. No. Is that what this is about? Azia, who had been beaming not a moment before, now appeared deeply worried. I see. That must be why Grayfia caught on us in such an official capacity, Akano said. I could literally feel the pressure behind her forced smile. Even Konoko, usually so stoic and expressionless, appeared stern. I knew this day would come. Zenobia and Ira, on the other hand, looked truly baffled. Honestly, I was in the same boat as them. I had that one sentence made everything so strained. Did this have something to do with the complex feelings of young women? I didn't know. Kiba and Casper weren't here with us today. Apparently, the press had told them that the familiar members already residing in the house would be enough for this meeting. Rice had gone out earlier this morning to buy some furniture, so that she could move in with us. I heard her muttering something about not spending a single yen more than necessary. She seemed to be quite frugal. The press's face flushed as she replied. Sister-in-law, is that why you're here? I thought we had agreed to let things develop naturally. Dear me, Riaz. Your mother and I never said anything like that. And let's not forget, you were the one that broke off your previous engagement. So wouldn't you say that responsibility is yours to reassure us that the fate of our house will be in safe hands? The press had no response to Grayfia's calm assertion. I had to imagine she was doing her best not to offend her sister-in-law. Previous engagement. Grayfia means Riaz's relationship with Riser, right? That had been a major debacle for the House of Gremory. So much so that the other great houses have been speaking ill of Riaz's family in secret, accusing the press of being so self-centered that she had broken off her arranged marriage all by herself. For the upper echelons of demon society, with their preoccupation with status and noble blood, maintaining a good relations between families was paramount. High-class demons seldom had the freedom to wed for love. Aristocratic society sure sounded difficult. Ultimately, I was responsible for ending Rias' engagement by spiriting her away after beating Riser into submission. I was lucky that the Prez's parents had generously forgiven me for my actions. As a species, we demons are in decline. Birth rates have dropped precipitously. We don't want to see our noble lineage go extinct. You must bring the next generation into the world. That is what your father, mother, brother, and I all wish for. Grayfia looked solemn as she spoke. Then, after a brief pause, her expression softened, and she smiled. That said, I also had a hand in what happened, and long ago, your brother and I married out of love as well. Our situation back then was even more complicated than yours is now. With rosy cheeks, Arcano added, the romance between those two is the stuff of legends for demon women. Huh? I had no idea. So Grayfia fell in love? Given that Sir Sex was a demon king, maybe that's to be expected. It also turned into a play, Konako added. Whoa, a play? Like theater? Awesome! Ozzy was getting pretty amped about the idea. I want to see it. Yeah, it was true what they said. Girls couldn't resist a good love story. Grayfia, clearly embarrassed, gave a weak cough before changing the subject. As the incident demonstrated, I'm on your side. I wish to see you become a great high-class demon and a worthy lady. And I want you to have a strong sense of what is required of you as the next heir of the House of Gremory. That's why we must see improving a great many of your attributes and qualities. For example, your belief that you could get away with selfish indulgences because you have money, or your tendency to act before thinking. I wonder whether your possessiveness has abated at all. And it remains regretful that you take so long to reach a decision when called on. When it came to your brother and me, we kept pushing forward without pause. Don't forget that there are girls your age who are already married. Once you graduate high school, you will be expected to participate in many more social functions. You will bring considerable shame of the House of Gremory if others consider you egotistic and hard-headed. You may be popular with some of the circles thanks to your television program, but, well, in any event, we need to ensure that your partner's education continues apace. I'm sure you don't need to be reminded that your marriage preparations must begin by the time that you attend university. There's a matter of ensuring a smooth transition when replacing your father too. I hope you understand. Speaking personally, I think it's time for you to settle down. Rating games are important, but if you focus all your attention on them, you run the risk of people viewing you as single-minded. What's more, Grayfia was lecturing the press like a rapid-fire machine. Poor Rias had to sit there and listen in silence. Her face turned bright red. She typically conducted herself with dignity and poise, as was expected of a House of Gremory heir. Yet, at that moment, she looked no different from any girl on the receiving end of a long scolding. Her family and relatives probably still viewed her as a child who couldn't be left alone. There was no end to Grayfia's tirade. My guess was that she was taking out all of her pent-up frustration from her maid's work.
Come now, Grayfia. Rias is doing quite well, wouldn't you say?
Another new voice entered the fray, but I recognized this one. Everyone turned to look at the far end of the table. There sat a crimson-haired man. The Prez rose to her feet in clear surprise. Brother? That's right. Our latest guest was none other than Sir Zex Lucifer. Yeah, a demon king just made an entrance, everyone. Hold on. When did he arrive? I hadn't felt his presence. How did he enter my living room undetected?
Hey there, Riaz. How are things? You look well. And I see that your familiar members are doing fine too.
Sir Zex flashed us all with a graceful smile. The Demon King had a lofty and formidable social status, but he really was an incredibly kind and caring individual.
I brought a present. It's a photo collection I'm producing that features Rias. I've titled it A Girl Called Switch Princess, a chronicle of little Rias' physical development. It follows her growth from early childhood up until the time she started high school here in Japan.
Sir Zex pulled out a photo compilation in question and passed it around to us. Whoa! It even included photos from when the Prez was middle school age. She already possessed a generous bosom back then. Ah, I wish to go back in time to meet that younger version of her. The Prez tried to snatch the book away from us all. Don't look! Don't look! She cried out, her cheeks like tomatoes. What an adorable reaction. Aren't you supposed to be attending an important meeting of the 4 Great Demon Kings today? Don't tell me you sneaked out. There was a sharp glint in Grayfia's eyes as she asked that question. Sir Zex, however, didn't seem particularly bothered.
I thought I'd attend remotely from here,
he answered calmly.
So long as that we could broadcast in real time, everything should be... Ow! Ow, 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 ow! That hurts, Grayfia!
She was pulling Sir Zex's cheeks as hard as she could. Sir Zex maintained his grin, but couldn't hide the tears in his eyes. Why are you always like this whenever I take a day off? Maybe I should have stayed at work. I could go back to being a maid this very instant if I wanted. Grayfia muttered. Whoa, she was seriously angry. Her aura was rising dangerously. My skin prickled just by being near such a tremendous reservoir of magical power. A foreboding atmosphere flooded the room. Even the Prez was visibly terrified. 3 small lights appeared above the table, taking a form of little magic circles. What looked like a 3-dimensional image took shape over the floating arrays. Though initially filled with static, the image slowly cleared until 3 faces were visible. Sir Zex! Sir Zex, can you hear me? Hey, Sir Zex! The voice was still somewhat distorted, but I recognized the distinctive tone. A moment later, and both the image and audio were clear enough to fully understand. Sir Zex, what are you thinking? Running off to the human realm all by yourself? I wanted to go. It was a magical girl. No, a Demon King girl, Seraphal Leviathan.
Ah, Seraphal. Sorry. I'm at Issei Hyodo's house right now,
Sir Zex explained. At this, Seraphal's eyes turned my way. Oh, so you are. Hi there, Red Dragon Emperor. Oh, is Rias there too? How do you do, Lady Seraphal? The Prez greeted. Yep, good morning, little Ria. Hey, Sir Zex, you should have said something. Ajuka and Falby were wondering why you hadn't joined us. Even Seraphal seemed mad, and that wasn't a common occurrence. Then again, that pouting of hers was adorable enough to set my heart at ease. She truly was like a magical girl, or rather, a Demon King girl. Hold on, Ajuka and Falby? The names were familiar. Did that mean the 2 other faces belonged to... Sir Zex, to think that you would wriggle out of a meeting to visit the human realm. Either a great incident is underway, or something interesting is about to take place. I'm guessing it's the latter, said an incredibly handsome youth with a bewitching smile.
Don't do anything crazy. I don't want any extra work.
The last voice belonged to a sleepy-looking figure resting his cheek against his hand. I knew these people. Back when we were all gone to the underworld, the 4 Great Demon Kings held a social event for the Prez and 5 other promising young demons from noble backgrounds. I had only met Sir Zex and Seraphal, so this was my first time addressing the other 2 directly, but it was undeniably them. Whoa, this was incredible. The 4 Great Demon Kings all at my table? A full set? This was a huge deal. Sir Zex must have realized I was freaking out because he said,
I still haven't introduced you, Issei. This mysterious fellow here is Ajuka Beelzebub. He's our chief advisor for technological development. His main focus is our research program.
Juka Beelzebub looked at me.
A mysterious atmosphere is rather fitting for a demon, wouldn't you say? But where are my manners? Greetings, Red Dragon Emperor. I've heard a lot about you.
Hello? I'm Issei Hyoto. I was so nervous. I was speaking to a Demon King, and wasn't he the guy behind the entire evil pieces system? Suzex motioned next to the final member of this momentous conference call.
This languid figure may not appear much of a go-getter, but Falbium Asmodeus is in charge of our military affairs.
I'm Falbium. What a dull voice, I thought. Was he seriously a Demon King? And in control of the demon military, no less? I didn't know how to feel about entrusting something so crucial to an utterly disinterested guy. Before I knew it, I was fretting about issues that were beyond me.
Greetings, Lord Beelzebub, Lord Asmodeus.
The other members of the Gremory familiar said in unison.
Hold up, Falby. This is Little Rias' familia and Red Dragon Emperor. You've got to greet them properly.
Leviathan was getting angry. Apparently, Falby was Leviathan's nickname for Falbium Asmodeus. Asmodeus' listless expression remained unchanged, though. All he did was breathe out another sigh. You work too much, Seraphal. Sir Zex. You work, you lose. That's my motto. I only do critical stuff. My servants can handle everything else. That's why you need a good familia. I'm tired. What's with that attitude? If I remember correctly, the present Asmodeus was from the house of Glacia Lobolus, right? His personality was the polar opposite of the wild, tough guy currently in the running to become the family's next heir.
The only time Asmodeus ever went all out was when he was recruiting members of his familia.
The Prez explained under her breath.
He made sure to gather extremely talented individuals. Ever since then, he's been delegating his responsibilities to them. Basically, he's the kind of person who races through all their homework on the first day of summer vacation and spends the rest of his time idling around. However, he is supposed to be the underworld's greatest strategist and tactician.
Thanks for the easy to understand analogy, Prez. That made sense. Basically, Asmodeus had gone to great pains to recruit the right individuals to voice his tasks on. I appreciated the logic, but I couldn't stop thinking less of the title of Demon King. I'd always suspected that other Demon King were eccentric after meeting Seraphal, but reality exceeded my expectations.
Incidentally, Seraphal handles the diplomatic front,
Sir Zex remarked. The one in question beamed and made a peace sign with her fingers.
Yep, leaving negotiating with foreign nations to me.
Sure, she was cute, but was entrusting her with that really okay? A short while back, Seraphal had been close to launching an attack on Heaven when she had learned that she hadn't been invited to the open house at Kuo Academy. Why did I get the impression that Sir Zex was doing the most work out of the four of them? It felt like the underworld was peaceful because he alone was earnest and steadfast individual. I really didn't have a clue when it came to Demon Society.
Alright, Sir Zex. What are you doing away from home?
Beelzebub questioned, clearly curious. Sir Zex grinned, then glanced at the Prez and me for a moment. Only when he was finished did he reply.
To tell you the truth, I was thinking of having Rias perform that old family ritual at the ruins. That was Grayfia's reason for visiting too.
Oh.
The three other Demon Kings smiled in unison at this explanation. Huh? What was he talking about? Huh? What was he talking about? I obviously wasn't the only one confused. The Prez lifted an eyebrow in consternation.
Brother, no, Lord Lucifer, what exactly do you mean, if I may ask? By ruins, do you mean that place that we watched over for generations?
Sir Zex nodded.
Yes, Members of the House of Gremory are expected to perform the rite of passage there once they reach a certain age. It's a ritual conducted with a loved one. You understand what I mean, don't you, Riaz?
Immediately, the Prez's face went deeper red than I have ever seen before. Oh, what is it, Prez?
This should be interesting. Certainly much more significant than our other meeting.
There hasn't been a ceremony since Sir Zax.
Ah, congratulations, you two.
Beelzebub, Leviathan, and Asmodeus all seem to understand the underlying meaning, and we're looking forward to it. I wish someone would have clued me in. Grayfia rose to her feet.
And there you have it, Riaz. Your father and mother have ordered you to perform the ritual. They want some reassurance, and they won't take no for an answer. Surely, you can provide that much. Even if my husband has brought unneeded attention to the matter. Sir Zax, you realize that I'm going to punish you once we get home.
Grayfia stared at him coldly as she pulled at his cheeks.
You heard her, little Rhea. Oh, make sure you do your best too, Issei.
Ow, that hurts, Grayfia. Even with his cheeks being yoinked so violently, Sir Zax's smile didn't waver. An endless stream of tears was coursing down his face, though. So, the strongest one here really was the Demon King's wife? Wait a second. I'm part of the ceremony? Why? Puzzled, I glanced at the Prez, hoping for an answer.
Issei, what should I do?
No fair. Don't go putting on a helpless face like that. That's Ozzy's signature move. Before my very eyes, my dependable elder-like sister Riaz had gone into full-blown worried teenager mode. First Grayfia's visit, then a discussion with the 4 great demon kings, and now a talk about a mysterious ritual. I didn't understand a lot going on here, and it all seemed to be connected. Worse yet, I was somehow involved and needed to participate in the ceremony. Seriously, why did I have to keep getting caught up in things like this? Was it because I was the Red Dragon Emperor?
Look at all this! I found a 100-yen shop that has every daily necessity that you could think of. Japan is filled with wonders. Nothing beats cheap.
No sooner did Gravy and the other Demon Kings leave than Rossweiss burst through the door after a busy shopping spree at the 100-yen store. Several days have passed since Grayfia and Sir Zeiss came to visit. The Prez and I arrived at an abandoned ruin, deep in the mountainous area of the Gremory territory. We were dressed in our usual wear, and our cool academy uniforms. The other familiar members were staying at home. Naturally, they wanted to join us, but apparently, this place was super important to the House of Gremory. Only those directly involved in the ceremony were permitted to come. And that only begged the question of why it was okay for me to be here. Before us stood a huge entrance to the expansive ruins. Huge pillars lined the path on either side, with statues depicting Gremory ancestors standing between them. Each sculpture was a true work of art. None of them looked damaged in the slightest.
What will I do if he ends up hating me? I knew I shouldn't have rushed this.
The Prez exhaled hard beside me. I couldn't think of anything to ease her stress. The best thing I could do was work hard to finish this quickly, so we could go home. It'll be alright, Prez. I'm here with you, so don't worry. An abrupt shout cut me off.
You there!
Something glimmered high above us. A group was descending towards the ground. Were they enemies? I braced myself for the worst. They landed, revealing themselves as a band of masked figures, like something out of a special effects laden television show. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They were dressed like a team of superheroes. Red, blue, yellow, green, and pink. Judging by their physiques, red, blue, and green were men, while yellow and pink were women. Immediately after they touched down, the quintet adopted a group pose. A mysterious and flashy explosion erupted behind them, along with plumes of multicolored smoke. What was the meaning of this?
Who are you?
The Prez demanded, evidently wary. It made perfect sense for her to be on her guard. When she was faced with a bunch of weirdos, who wouldn't have been? The figure in the middle, Red, made a fancy pose before declaring,
Ha ha ha! We are the mysterious
Out of nowhere, Yellow hit Red over the top of the head. Hold on. Red's voice just now.
Sorry. Let me start over. We are the Satan Rangers, led by me, Satan Red.
I'm Satan Blue. This is a pain, but I'm Satan Green. Satan Pink. I'm Satan Yellow. The Prez and I were both so shocked that our jaws practically hit the ground. No. This was them? The Saint Rangers? No. They were clearly the 4 great demon kings. No matter how you looked at it, red was Sir Zex, blue was Beelzebub, green was Asmodeus, and pink was Leviathan. Heck, Leviathan even used her name. So, was yellow Grayfia? The way that she hit red / Sir Zex over the head all but confirmed that. She seemed rather embarrassed to be all dressed up. It was clear just from witnessing the spectacle that Sir Zex and Leviathan were really into this. They were adopting one dramatic pose after another.
How's this? Pretty cool, right? I spent last night practicing with my son.
What? I was thinking about cute poses too. I dropped to my knees, wrapping my arms around my head. The underworld was truly at peace. Too much at peace. I couldn't help but weep. This explained why the breast dragon superhero modeled after me was so popular. It was because these crazy, fun-loving people stood at the top of Demon Society. Why on earth did Cyraor want to become a Demon King, knowing full well that his peers would be like this? Perhaps he aspired to set the underworld on more of a serious track? I had no idea how to respond to this development. Perez, what should we do? I tried asking. This was her brother after all. Who are these people? I could sense a huge amount of demonic power in them. The Satan Rangers. Could they all be Demon King level fighters? She didn't recognize them? Prez, this wasn't good. Not at all. Had Rhea suffered a fatal wound? Wake up. That's your brother. Your own brother. He might be disguised as a superhero jumping around, but he's a Demon King. The other Demon Kings are here too, along with one super powerful queen. A band of the most invisible figures around the world. A mock hero squadron. In response to the Prez's obvious bewilderment, Sir Zex, heck, I might as well go with the flow and call him Saint Red, called out.
We've been enlisted by the House of Gremory. 3 trials await you both. We expect to see you employ your strength and power to push through together. To succeed, you must work as a team.
At that moment, Pink pointed into the distance. Ah! A mysterious flying object!
What? Everyone, attack! Ruin instinct!
Kankara formula. Celsius cross trigger. Right, some Asmodeus style attack. I'll just call this Yellow Stop for now. An explosion of unprecedented scale rocked the air. The 5 Demon King superheroes loosed simultaneously signature moves up into the sky. Their combined power causing the entire mountainous region to tremble violently. I could spot forest animals screeching in panic as they fled. The air itself was being torn apart, and some unknown dimension opened overhead. Brilliant multicolored beams of light cascaded down around the mountain range. It was like watching an aurora. An incredibly rare phenomenon was taking place before my eyes.
It was just an evil spirit. Don't startle me like that, Pink.
The Demon Kings had launched a joint attack against a measly ghost. Talk about overkill. And to think that the poor spirit had just taken the full brunt of a unified strike. Just how evil and powerful was it? I was sick of these people. If they could do all this, why hadn't they fought Loki? What kind of trials will we face? The Prez inquired. It baffled me that she could act like nothing just happened. Prez, didn't you see that?
Those guys just went all out against that ghost or whatever.
Calm down, Issei. Evil spirits are evil for a reason. They need to be defeated.
That isn't what I mean. I give up. Apparently, my only option was to play along. Whatever else happened, I would just let it go right past me. If the Demon Kings were okay with it, then so was I. We will await you at each trial. You two who would inherit the name of Gremory. Push through all three as you journey into the heart of this place. We will be waiting for you. With that, Red disappeared into the ruins, with the other four following after him quickly. Only the president and I were left. This was ridiculous. I had no idea what they were planning, but the Demon Kings expected us to reach them.
Alright, Issei, let's go. Now that we're here, it's time to cast our doubts aside. Let's show them Saint Rangers the depths of our bonds.
It looked like the press was getting pumped. We'd come this far, after all. Turning back wasn't an option. Burning with resolution, I was ready to smash through any trial that awaited me and the prez. After crossing through a stone passageway, we found ourselves in an open room. A figure in pink was standing there to meet us. In other words, it was Leviathan. No sooner than Pink spotted us than she made a peace sign.
Come on, Yutsuo. Time for your first test.
I swallowed nervously. Just what was she going to make us do? I didn't like the idea of fighting her. Rias was strong, but we stood no chance against the Demon King. More than that, however, I hated the idea of fighting the adorable Leviathan.
For your first trial, I want to see you dance.
Huh? I was left dumbfounded by this unexpected development. As for the prez, well, it looked like she had been expecting something like this as she nodded her head. What kind of challenge is this?
I want to see you strut your stuff. Impress me with your moves and coordination, and you'll pass my trial. Come on now, let's go. If you're both going to be part of high society, you need to know this.
Pink summoned an audio system from nowhere with a click of her fingers, and an elegant classical tune began to play. We're seriously doing this?
Let's go, Issei.
The prez declared, taking my hand. Oh, right. The prez's mother taught me how to do this back when I visited the underworld. With the prez's palm clasped to my own, I bowed to her. Then we began to move in sync with the tune. Thanks to those lessons back during summer vacation, I could move smoothly enough. The prez's dances was incredibly graceful, and at times she took the lead to compensate for my lack of experience. So, this is the first trial, I thought, still a bit unsure. Maybe I misunderstood, and there won't be any combat. I was beyond confused. I believed that the reason why I was here was to support the prez in the battle. Instead, I was her dance partner. I continued to shuffle my feet to the music as I pondered what was going on. When my eyes met the prez's, I realized that her cheeks had turned bright scarlet. What was that reaction for?
Issei, you're good. You took my mother's lessons to heart, didn't you? Thank goodness. If we were ever in a bind, we should be fine.
The prez's eyes were glistening. When the song came to an end, we bowed to each other and concluded our dance. Pink was applauding us both.
Oh, looks like I needn't have worried. You were both wonderful.
As she complimented us, the stone door at the end of the room swung open, with a low groaning sound.
Now then, push on ahead to your second trial.
Thus concluded our first challenge. We had cleared her without incident. Upon entering the second expansive room, I found myself gawking in bewilderment once more. Hi, welcome. It looked like Green, Azamadius, was in charge of this trial. He didn't seem particularly motivated, however. On close inspection, I spotted two women who looked like members of his familia. They were both dressed as maids. There was also a table and a set of chairs, too. and the table was lined with plates and various knives and forks. Right. The second challenge is about your manners. I'll observe from over here, so go and eat. The maids will monitor your etiquette. It's a point system, so you'll be deducted for any mistakes. Once you reach 0, the game's over. Table manners? I had no clue what was going on anymore. These weren't the kinds of tasks I expected to face in an ancient structure. It felt like they were assessing our aptitude for engaging in an aristocratic society. Was the point for Riaz to be recognized as a proper member of the upper crust? She was in line to be the next head of her family, after all. Still, why was I involved? I couldn't explain it. In any event, I sat myself down at the table, took my napkin, and began to eat with the prez. I alternated between my knife and fork, and used the appropriate spoon to sip out of the soup with poise. The prez's mother and the maid serving the Gremory family had instructed me on this during my visit as well. Even at home, the prez would drill me on proper etiquette. While the meal was delicious, I was too nervous to appreciate the wonderful taste properly. The prez ate everything so elegantly. This would have made a nice portrait. She truly was a princess. I had to take care not to embarrass her. Things continued like that for a while, and before I knew it, the meal is over. Your second trial, focusing on your table manners, is complete. One of the maids announced as she bowed. I felt so nervous. Following the appropriate procedure while eating was far more difficult than dancing. I was a humble commoner, so I wasn't used to conducting myself with this level of elegance. If not for the prez's mother's teachings, I would have been completely lost. You passed with a perfect score, Lady Riaz. Whoa, way to go, Prez. The maid's gaze turned next to me. My heart was racing. We did have to deduct several points from you, yet you passed with a high mark nonetheless. Congratulations. I was so happy that I did a fist pump. Woohoo! I was pretty worried when I made a noise with my knife and fork, but I did it! I did it! Well done, Issei. The press caught me in a tight embrace. The sensation of her breast was pressing against me was the best. Prez. She looked incredibly pleased. There were tears in her eyes, and her face had reddened again. That's my Issei. I knew I made the right choice. I'm so happy. At this rate, we might pass with flying colors. Whoa. Evidently, she was really moved by her accomplishments. Alright then. You can go now. Congrats. Green let out a yawn as he motioned to the next door. What was going to happen to the Prez and me when this was all over? While making our way down to the passage to the final trial, I turned to Riaz. Say, Prez, what is it? Back at the house, someone mentioned the love affair between Sir Zex and Grayfia, and I was wondering what exactly happened between them. Their early relationship fascinated me. However, if it was something I wasn't supposed to know about, I would drop the topic. As a member of the Gremory Familia, you do have the right to know. My sister-in-law's surname is Lucifugus, Grayfia Lucifugus. She belongs to a noble family that has been serving the Demon King Lucifer for generations. You mean people from her family are like confidants to the Demon King? I asked. The Prez nodded. As you know, there was a conflict long ago between the old regime that wanted to continue the war with the angels and fallen angels, and those who opposed their plan. At that time, the House of Lucifugus served the old Lucifer, yet the sole daughter of that family fell in love with the eldest son of a different noble house. The great war that encompassed both the heaven and the underworld had ended only when the deaths of God and the original demon kings. All three sides, the angels, fallen angels, and demons, were left utterly exhausted by the conflict,
and the long-term survival if each faction was cast into doubt. Unfortunately, the followers of the old ways continued to cause trouble for those who wanted peace. In the end, the devotees of the previous demon regime fled to the ends of the underworld, allowing the present demon society to develop. There were still issues stemming from the differences of ideals to this day. I knew more significant details about the war, but Rias' story surprised me. Sussex and Grayfia had fallen in love amid that terrible bloodshed. But before I could put my thoughts into order, the prez continued.
Yes, my brother and sister-in-law. Back then, my brother was the ace of a new-minded side. People even called him a hero. Grayfia belonged to the opposition, the old demon regime. Not only that, she fought on the front lines and was famously powerful. Apparently, she even competed with Seraphal for the title of Ultimate Female Demon.
I didn't know what to say. So, Sir Zex and Grayfia had fallen in love as enemies. It must have been a pretty complicated situation for them. Perhaps their feelings bonded them to those obstacles.
My brother and sister-in-law saw beyond those respective factions and fell in love in the heat of battle. And when the conflict was over, that feeling between them only deepened. It was a wonderful story, don't you think? Their romance continues to be admired by women of the underworld even today. I adore their story too. Some people think my sister-in-law stays as a maid out of loyalty to my brother and the current demon kings, but she actually just likes taking care of the housework and managing intricate details. It must be easier serving as a maid than seeing to all the things expected of a wife of a demon king. When she acts like a maid, she puts her body and soul into it, even changing how she addresses the rest of my family and me.
Wow. I could certainly understand why underworld ladies thought so highly of that tale. A man and woman, sworn enemies, had fallen in love on the battlefield. At that moment, a thought came to mind. Didn't all that mean Milikus had been born to two of the strongest fighters alive? In terms of natural talent, he had to be top tier.
For me, it's more like just admiring them. I love and respect them as well. But when I think about how great they are, I can't help but compare myself to them. It always leaves me wondering if I'm a failure. Am I really qualified to succeed as the head of my family?
The prez looked terribly defeated. So that was it. She had been measuring herself against the two all this time. Rias felt inferior because of her brother and sister-in-law were so distinguished. I could understand that. Who wouldn't feel inadequate when their sibling was a demon king and his wife was a super powerful queen? The prez's admission helped me realize that everyone had major worries of their own. Even Rias, one of the two great ladies whom I so admired, who conducted herself so gracefully and proudly, had troubles that plagued her heart. I mean, she was still a teenage girl. Now and then, something happened to remind me of that. Obviously, I recognized that she was a girl like any other, yet I hadn't comprehended the depths of her anxieties. Dumb as I was, I've been entirely ignorant of them. I wrapped my arms around her from behind, embracing her.
Issei?
She asked quizzically. Not letting go, I said, I can't even begin to comprehend all of your troubles, but I've never once thought of you as a failure. Without you, I wouldn't have been able to live this awesome life you gave me. As far as I'm concerned, you're the best, the greatest woman there is. Nothing can change my mind on that. I'll stand by you forever, Prez. So let's overcome these obstacles together. I put my whole heart into those words. I don't really know if you could call what I was doing offering encouragement, but I wanted to help the best I could. The Prez took my hand in her own.
You're always watching out for me. Yes, you're right. With you by my side, I can make it. I'm crazy about you, Issei. Let's keep going. Together. forever. She glanced over her shoulder, flashing me a radiant smile. That expression was another one of her wonderful charms. Now that I'd seen Rhea's Gremory looking so lovely, I felt prepared to power through the final test at full speed. But you still call me Prez. What was that? Nothing. Don't worry about it. Let's go. We need to finish this last challenge. Right, I replied, taking off behind the Prez. She muttered something under her breath, but I hadn't quite caught it. We made our way through the passage with renewed vigor. Only a single trial remained before this bizarre ritual was complete. Hey there. When the Prez and I arrived at the site of our next test, Saint Blue, Beelzebub, was waiting for us. There was a set of desks and chairs. Writing implements and sheets of paper rested atop of each of the desks. Your last trial is a written exam covering the history of the House of Gremory and general knowledge questions about demonkind and the underworld. An exam? We had come all this way for the kind of test that I hated the most? I could literally feel my face blanching. So that's that. Take your seats. The Prez and I both did as instructed. Blue summoned a large hourglass with his demonic powers. You have 1 hour, starting now. The hourglass turned upside down, signaling the beginning of the exam. We weren't even offered a moment to pull ourselves together. I hurriedly flipped over the papers on my desk, sweat beaded on my forehead as I read the questions. They were all crazy difficult. There were ones about different ranks and noble titles, about high, mid, and low-class demons and more. Demon kings, archdukes, princes. They were all major notables. Then came the marquises, earls, margraves, counts, viscounts, and barons. Were baronets and knights mid-class rankings? The hierarchy was mostly similar to peerages in the human realm, but there were some original elements mixed in. Man, these questions sure pushed one's knowledge to the brink. With each one, I felt so close to knowing the answer, yet I couldn't be entirely sure. The Prez was scribbling away next to me. She truly was a prodigy. She had this test in the bag. I, on the other hand, was in serious trouble. Failure meant I could never show my face to her and her parents again. Glaring down at my exam, I racked my mind as best as I could. Alright, time's up, Blue announced, marking the end of the exam. The sand of the hourglass had all gathered at the bottom half. I had pushed my brain to the limit for the full hour, and could do little else but rest my exhausted head flat on the desk. It hadn't been easy, but I managed to fill out everything. All that was left to do was await my mark and hope I passed. Blue's red marking pen coursed down the finished papers. He kept making one check movement after another for the Prez's exam, but when it came to mine, his hands seemed to be drawing an awful lot of X's. Watching someone grade my work was so stressful. The Prez remained calm, however, retaining her usual elegance and dignity. She probably realized that she couldn't have possibly failed this. Conversely, I felt more dead than alive. Now then. Blue had set the papers down in a pile on his desk. It looked like he had finished grading us. I swallowed with trepidation. Rhea's Gremory had passed with flying colors. And as for the Red Dragon Emperor Issei Hyodo... Why are you pausing there, Blue? You pass, but you still need to clear an on-the-spot quiz. Get a question wrong and it's over. And only you can answer. What? What the heck was this? Why? Please, cut me some slack, Beelzebub. Demonkind was once ranked on a hierarchy, known as the 72 Pillars. Recite the names of the 72 Pillars from first to last. That's his question. He's talking about the ancient order of the high-class demons, right?
The Press's mother taught me this during my stay in the underworld, so it should be burned into my brain. Trembling, I began to answer. Baal, Agares, Visaggio, Gamagan, Marbas, Valfor, Ammon, Barbados, Paimon, Bur, Gushion, Citri, Beleth, Lirige, Eligos, Zapar, Bodis, Bathin, Salios, Person, Morax, Ipos, Aim, Niburius, Glaciolabolus, Boone, Ronove, Berith, Astroth, Forneus, Forus, Asmode, Gop, Furfur, Marchosius, Stolus, Phoenix, Halphis, Malphis, Rom, Folklore, Vepper, Sapnok, Shax, Veen, Bifrons, Vuel, Agenti, Crocel, Furcus, Balam, Alisur, Kiam, Murmur, Orbus, Gremory, Os, Amy, Orax, Falpula, Zagan, Valak, Andras, Faluros, Andralphus, Chimeris, Amdusius, Belial, Decaraba, Seer, Dantilian, and Andromelius. How's that? I had listed them all off successfully. The Press's mother had gone over those names repeatedly until I knew them by heart. Although I hadn't been able to remember everything during our stay in the underworld, I'd continue reviewing back home until I could recite the 72 pillars perfectly. Apparently, there were other pure-blooded demons not included in the list. That must have been the case with Grayfia's House of Lucifugus. They were known as extra demons. Excellent. In that case, which of those great lineage has since gone extinct? Blue hurled another relentless question. Seriously, he's asking me which of the familiars had died off? It was frustrating, but thankfully, I had learned which houses died during the war when memorizing the full list. It was in there. I just had to pull the information out of my brain. I closed my eyes, reciting the names that floated before me. Marbis, Valfor, Bur, Gushan, Lirige, Eligos, Bodis, Bathin, Morax, Ipos, Aim, Bune, Renove, Forres, Gop, Marchosius, Halphis, Malphis, Rom, Vepper, Sabnok, Veen, Bifrons, Hagenti, Crocel, Alisur, Kiam, Murmur, Orbis, Os, Amy, Zagan, Andrus, Floros, Andrilphus, Chimaris, Amdusius, Decarabia, Seer, and Andromelius. How did that go? I was less confident about my answer this time. Nonetheless, Beelzebub nodded. Correct. Good job. Seeing how you recently were reincarnated as a demon, I didn't think that you would get that one. I knew it was a rather mean-spirited question. You pass. Blue stopped there and clapped his hands. Even he knew how cruel the question was. I was so nervous. To be honest, I was certain I'd screwed up. This concludes the ritual of the House of Gremory. The trials of the man and woman are complete. Congratulations, Blue announced loudly. The Prez and I hugged each other in joy when we heard that we had triumphed. Prez, we did it! Well done, Issei. Now, no one will doubt our bonds. You and I are the best of partners. I wasn't entirely sure I followed her train of thought, but I agreed. Whoa, the Prez pecked me on both of my cheeks. Today's hardship had been worth it for just that alone. What looked like the final door swung open with a heavy rumble. Red awaits you within, Blue declared, motioning towards the passage. You should report your success to him. The Prez and I exchanged nods before venturing onwards. As we continued down the passage, there was a light that grew nearer and nearer. When we passed through it, the ceiling vanished, replaced with the sky of the underworld. We had to be in the depths of the ruins, yet it resembled a large space with no roof. I wondered if it was a coliseum, a circular arena lined with rows of spectator seats surrounded a large flat plot. The Prez and I emerged from one spot in the observation area. Red and yellow, Surzex and Grayfia awaited in the middle of the arena. After locating a staircase, we proceeded down to them.
Congratulations, Yatil.
Yellow greeted us warmly. Did that mean this was the end? As if to answer my question, Red stepped forward, bellowing up into the sky.
At last! Well done making your way here. However, don't assume the trials of the House of Gremory are complete. Your final challenge. I will have Issei Hyoto fight me. Satan Red, one-on-one. Defeat me.
Red's aura surged powerfully. What? I was so taken aback I initially thought he was kidding. Anyone would have. I mean, I was supposed to fight him? Red? Surzex?
As the leader of the Satan Rangers, I've long desired a battle with the Breast Dragon. Ha ha ha! Let us see which of us will be the true hero of the underworld.
Satan Red? No, Surzex was getting way too into this. How could he possibly expect me to take him on? I mean, he was the all-powerful Demon King. This was insane.
Oh, Saint Red, I don't know who you are, but my Issei is the Red Dragon Emperor. You had better prepare to face the mighty dragon who defeated the evil Norse god Loki.
But Prez, my opponent is literally Demon King class. And while I did defeat Loki, that was only because I had a legendary weapon and all my friends helping me. I couldn't have done it alone. There was no way I could handle this by myself. Oblivious of my panic, Red exuded overwhelmingly powerful and destructive demonic energy.
So, I'm going to face the Red Dragon Emperor, who bested Loki? How nerve-wracking. It's been a long time since I felt such an uplifting sense of elation.
He was talking crazy. My only hope was that Grayfia might intervene.
Please, just don't go overboard.
What? She's okay with this? Your husband is about to use all of his power in a single unranked demon, and that's all good?
Let's go.
With a roar, Surzex unleashed a merciless barrage of magical attacks. Fortunately, I managed to dodge it. Not a moment later, though, Surzex's energy blast crashed into the back of the Colosseum behind me, blasting a huge hole in the ruins. This was bad. I had witnessed what the Prez was capable of countless times before, but this was the first time I ever seen a technique that completely erased whatever it touched. Was it alright that he was annihilating an ancient structure? If I was hit by one of those attacks, I would be beyond dead. Recognizing the danger to myself, I summoned my gauntlet and caught out to the dragon lane within. Drake, I need my balance breaker.
Very well. I was getting tired of waiting.
The moment the countdown started, Surzex adopted a strange pose. Was he feeling overly confident, or did he just like striking theatrical stances?
I won't attack while you're transforming.
He wants to uphold an unspoken rule between heroes. Thank you.
Welsh Dragon, balance breaker.
As that voice rang out, a red aura enveloped my body, solidifying into a set of armor. Balance breaker, boosted gear scale mail, Saint Red. Now that it's come to this, I won't hold back.
I expected no less.
I hurled myself into the battle against the Demon King Surzex Lucifer. Our battle continued for nearly 10 minutes. Obviously, I was the one gasping for breath.
What's wrong, Issei Hyoto? Can you muster no more? Is this the extent of your feelings toward Riez?
Saint Red mocked with a confident pose. Damn it. I knew he was leagues stronger than me, and yet I couldn't even get a single hit. He effortlessly destroyed all my dragon shots. I tried to use a mix of small and oversized ones, but Surzex's powers of destruction were on a whole nother level. None of my attacks managed to reach him, Even when I started shooting wildly, he erased every blast with orbs that he sent flying through the arena. Those spheres, concentrated masses of raw destruction, may have been small, but there was no withstanding them. They outright deleted any attack that they so much as grazed. I had tried unfurling my dragon wings and rushing into close quarters, but Sirzex had easily parried my every punch. He was no pushover when it came to close quarters fighting. His fist radiated raw devastation. It even seemed a trivial matter for him to tear through my armor. To cut a long story short, there was simply too wide of a gulf between our respective levels of ability. I had become stronger recently, I was sure of it, and yet Sirzex was so far ahead. How could he be this powerful? Red Dragon Emperor, hang in there. Don't be afraid. Standing your own against Sirzex for more than 10 minutes is a testament to your promising future. To tell you the truth, I doubted that you would make it this far. You exceeded all expectations, Red Dragon Emperor. The other Demon Kings were supporting me from the spectator gallery. Heck, they looked like they were enjoying the spectacle. They all removed their masks, freely revealing their true identities. Asmodeus had fallen asleep, though. I guess everyone was enjoying today in their own way. Power of destruction. It can't be. The press had her hand on her chin in apparent deep consideration. Perhaps she finally realized the truth. I was currently facing against... You're from the House of Baal. She got it all wrong. Well, maybe she believed it was impossible for her brother to be so deeply into hero cosplay. Red leveled a finger at me. You love Riaz, do you not? Is this the limit of your affection? If you don't have the mettle to defeat me, how can you be trusted to protect her? He was right, of course, but how many people actually were there in this world that could defeat this guy? That was the actual problem here. Guess there was no choice. I'm going to use what you taught me, old man Tanin. I took a deep breath, filling my lungs with air, then remained still, trying to imagine the whirling flame building within my stomach. I was forging a mass fire in my gut, the strongest demonic blaze I could muster. Here goes. The technique I learned during the summer training, and if I use my other dragon powers too. Boost, 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 boost. Transfer. I set my increased strength into the flames as they surged up from my stomach and opened the mask that covered my face. I breathed out a massive plume of searing crimson aimed straight for Sirzex. This was my favorite trick that I picked up during my training. Flame breath. Sure, it wasn't as flashy or as powerful when Tani used it, but unlike my dragon shot, this technique had an incredibly wide range. I would ignite Sirzex with this. This move wasn't called the flame breath for nothing. A splendid dragon breath, and yet... Sirzex nodded, then moved his hand from one side to the other. As he did so, his spheres of destruction arced straight for the blaze and enlarged to a humongous size. The orbs swallowed and encompassed the flames, snuffing them out. How could they stretch so big? Sirzex had successfully eliminated almost all of my attack, and he easily brushed aside what little remained. Partner, you're at a disadvantage in a prolonged fight. If you're going to win this, you need to decide it in a single blow. That's easy enough for you to say, Drake. But what chance do I actually have? It'll be tough. To tell you the truth, I wasn't expecting him to be this strong. He may be even more powerful than the old Lucifer. In terms of raw power and destruction, he's beyond reason. He has concentrated his skills and talents towards a single goal, annihilation. There probably isn't anything he can't eradicate. That wasn't what I wanted to hear right now. The situation was growing bleaker by the second. At that moment, Yellow, Grayfia, beckoned for me to approach. What was it now? The press was standing beside her too. Without taking my eyes off Sirzex, I rushed towards them, opening my visor to speak. Something up? Issei, Grayfia began. Touch Rias' breasts. I was so shocked by this remark that blood spurted from my nose. The press's face had turned bright red. We were both at a loss over this sudden and unexpected piece of advice. Yellow quickly used her powers to summon what looked like a simple fitting room and threw me in the present side. Next, she addressed the press. Listen carefully, Riaz Gremory. This is my advice to you. Your trust runs deeper for the Red Dragon Emperor than it does for anyone else, yes? In that case, you must understand his unique quirks. He can become an entirely different person through the power of your breasts. Being reminded of that by Grayfia was genuinely painful. Still, she was right. I was the breast dragon, capable of transforming through the power of breasts.
Yep, it's like she says.
Trey's words were cold and monotone. Come on, Red Dragon Emperor, it wasn't that bad. The press thought on the suggestion for a moment and ultimately nodded in approval. I can't say I like having to take advice from someone when I can't tell if they're a friend or a foe, but I can see that it's the only option here. Prez. She still hadn't realized that Yellow and Grayfia were one and the same. Immediately, Riaz began to remove her uniform. The dazzling white skin around her beautiful round breast revealed itself. The second she unhooked her bra, her boobs plopped down. Whoa. I would never grow tired of those pink nipples. I shed tears of joy. Yeah, the press's chest was unmatched. There was no beating it. The tips were plucky, soft, and so wonderful that I could have breathed my last without a single regret. The press met my gaze, her eyes filled with determination. Now, Issei, if you overcome this trial, I'll be happy to let you have my breasts. I want us to break together and for everyone to acknowledge us. Let's finish this, Issei. Prez, to think that she would be so resolute while her chest hung there for me to gawk at. Yes, we would see through this together. Prez, Riaz Gremory, I'll touch your breast and then we'll defeat Satan Red and make it to the end. I dispelled my armor around my hands and reached for her boobs. I would grope them together with every finger. I'm your pawn, Issei Hyoto, the Red Dragon Emperor. I'll show them all the dedication of the breast dragon. I buried my digits into the Prez's rich breasts, making sure to slowly savor the wonderful sensation. It felt as if the exquisite texture around these soft mounds of flesh was completely enveloping my hand. I squeezed them, I fondled them. What an amazing feeling. Blood shot out from my nose at maximum velocity. Ah, these soft, squishy breasts are stimulating my senses to the extreme. Yes, nothing could beat this. Nothing could top this. That sensuous sigh was the killing blow. My hands made her cry aloud. Whoa, here it comes. I could sense a huge surge of dragon energy welling up in my body. A draconic aura erupted from the exhaust vents all over my armor. The jewels embedded across the suit emitted brilliant red light. I was brimming with power. The power of the Prez's breasts. It had pushed me so far. Maybe we really were the breast dragon and the Switch Princess. If we're going to do this, let's end it in one blow, Drake. Let's pour all of our might into one massive dragon shot and use it to take down Satan Red.
Alright, leave it to me.
I concentrated everything in my hands. My target was Satan Red, Sir Zex. Taste the depths of the presence in my feelings. That's it. Come. A strike born from the love between you and Riaz. As a brother and future brother-in-law. Show me what you got. The spheres of destruction already around Sir Zex gathered into a single point. He was planning to meet my attack head-on. You got it, Saint Red. Take this from the present me. Dragon Shot, Neo Bust Burst. As I shouted the name that I immediately made up on the spot, I fired my attack. When I opened my eyes, the Prez's face filled my vision. I could feel a soft sensation against the back of my head. Was I laying on her legs? She had to be treating me to a thigh pillow. Are you awake? You lost consciousness there in the fight, the Prez said with a chuckle. I sat up and realized that I was still at the center of the Colosseum, Glancing around, I saw that the building had been totally demolished. Your battle against Saint Red had left the arena a bit of a mess. We'll need to send in a repair team to fix it up later. Had we caused that much damage? I've been so absorbed in the moment that I hadn't given much of a thought to preserving the ruins. What about Saint Red? He vanished. The others too. There was no way I defeated him. At that moment, Drake called out from inside me.
Partner,
What is it, Drake?
that Demon King Lucifer negated your last dragon shot. I've always suspected that he possessed incredible power for a demon, but I never imagined that he could be that mighty. He made a hasty retreat with the other Demon Kings during the explosion. For you to be able to fight him so well at this point in time is a testament to your growth. Just a few months ago, he would have destroyed you in a blink of an eye.
Seriously? I had put a lot of effort into my training. Even after defeating Loki, I hadn't allowed myself to grow complacent. Still, I'd been rather confident about that last dragon shot, but even with the power boost granted by the Prez's breasts, it had still been for naught. However, I did feel a little proud for holding out for so long. Maybe it was my imagination, but judging by his voice, Drake seemed a little bit impressed. He hadn't spoken to me like this since we fought Fenrir, although that wasn't too long ago. Damn, Rias' brother was incredible.
You both did well.
That was Sir Zek's voice. He was standing before me and the Prez in his normal clothes. Grayfia stood beside him in her maid outfit. Brother, did you just get here?
Yeah, I figure you should be finishing up your trials right about now.
Prez, open up your eyes. Seriously. Sir Zex was Saint Red all along. And Sir Zex, please just come out in a minute. The Prez and I stood up, and Sir Zex placed a hand on each of our shoulders.
Well done indeed. You both passed.
Hearing this, the Prez and I looked at each other, exchanging proud grins. We had done it. The two of us had survived the barrage of tests. In the end, I fought Sir Zex myself, and while I didn't beat him, we still cleared the challenge. The Master and Mistress will be relieved to hear the news, Grayfia stated. It looked like she had returned to full-on maid mode.
I should apologize for dragging you into this without warning, you say?
Sir Zex said. Not at all. It's fine, really. I got to touch the Prez's breast, so everything is totally okay. That was the honest truth. Besides, it had been fun. And the Prez's chest was amazing.
I'm glad to hear it. Your future with Rias has weighed on my mind for a while, but judging from what I glimpsed today, the path ahead looks bright. I'll leave the rest to you, Rias, Issei.
Okay. I wasn't exactly sure what Sir Zex was getting at, but I was determined to protect the Prez for the rest of my life. After all, I was completely infatuated with her. Congrats, Riaz! Out of nowhere, Leviathan jumped out beside us. Uh-oh. How long has she been there?
It's finally over,
Asmodeus said with a deep sigh. He had a long day too, being made to serve as a judge. Hopefully, that wouldn't give him reason to neglect his duties as a Demon King. As I thought on that, a Juka Beelzebub approached me. His expression was serious and probing. From what I could tell, his interest lay less with me more than with my secret gear. Do you mind if I inspect your evil piece for a moment? Without waiting for a reply, he pressed his finger against my chest and opened up a small, multi-layered magic circle. Numbers and letters and demon strip flowed through the magic circle at an incredible speed. It looks like you're up to something interesting. You've been delving into the sacred gear, I take it? That's only possible when the soul has been sealed inside it. It must have been the governor of the fallen angels, Azazel, who suggested this approach. Achuka was grinning, evidently enjoying himself. I couldn't believe he seriously worked all that out, from a casual checkup. Sure, I heard that he was a technological genius, but he was amazing. Teach, this Demon King deduced your hypothesis in an instant. The powers and characteristics of your piece is being affected by something. It's transforming, little by little, an intriguing phenomenon. It looks like some extra code that wasn't in my original program has overwritten part of it. This is just conjecture, but I suspect your Juggernaut drive may be responsible. The new code is all over the place. A malfunction could arise rather easily if we leave it like this. Very well. How about I apply a little ingenuity to your evil piece for you? I was taken aback by the sudden offer. Are you sure? Wouldn't that give me an unfair advantage in the rating game? Of course. I'll have to make sure you can activate it during an official match, but there shouldn't be any issues employing it in an actual battle, wouldn't you agree? Then again, it would be interesting to try it out in a match. It could even prove quite popular among the fans, who like a little irregularity now and then. In any event, being the Red Dragon Emperor, you would no doubt face a great many enemy forces in the future. You wouldn't benefit from an environment where you can employ your abilities to their fullest extent. Most importantly, it should be amusing to watch. And I should thank you for stopping that out-of-control relative of mine, by the way. He was referring to Deodora. I beat him to a pulp during the incident with Azia. Afterwards, he had killed one of the leaders of the old demon regime. Like Deodora, Beelzebub hailed from the House of Astaroth. Don't worry yourself over that. The blame lies entirely on our side. Rather, I should be apologizing to you. As he spoke, Beelzebub activated more magic circles to adjust my sacred gear. From the tone in his voice, he didn't seem particularly interested in the incident with Deodora. Honestly, despite being that guy's relative, Beelzebub could have been the one who paid it the least mind. Thinking of a question, I asked, how many hidden functions did you include in the evil pieces system? I can't tell you that. Each piece's user needs to discover that for themselves. The Demon King answered, turning back to his work. He really was an unfathomable individual, and he had referred to demons as users. I felt as though I was caught in a glimpse of a unique character. Sir Zax let out a soft chuckle. Juko is a rare creator among demons. The underworld's technological capabilities have advanced by leaps and bounds thanks to him. Yet, he's rather indifferent to the usual demon methods of industry. I prefer making things and having fun. He certainly seemed like an unusual demon. Sir Zax and Juka have always been friends and rivals, Leviathan whispered in my ear. They were both in the running for the title of Lucifer, but Sir Zax was better at gathering people around him, so he got it, and Ajuka became Beelzebub. Sounds like they have a complicated past. Rivals. Like Volley and me? No, we aren't nearly as close. Volley's more like an enemy than a rival. You both work too much. You should relax more. I can't keep up. You work, you lose, right? Asmodeus was another type of rare demon. Seriously, that guy needed to put some effort into his job. Okay, that should about do it. Having apparently finished adjusting my sacred gear, Beelzebub deactivated his magic circles. I rubbed my hand against my chest. It didn't feel any different. Has something changed? That will be up to you. All I did was provide you with the keys to open up previously locked doors, the choice of which to take lies ahead. Basically, Beelzebub have expanded my skill tree, but it was my responsibility to select a route. I think you would really hit it off with Azazel, Beelzebub, I said. Both of them were scientists, after all. To my surprise, however, Beelzebub shook his head. No, it might seem that way, but I'm afraid not.
His talent lies in researching and building out from what which already exists. I, on the other hand, prefer to create from scratch. Our interests appear similar, but an enormous gulf lies between them.
Huh. I couldn't help but wonder if that was true. And I cocked my head to one side. Now that his work was concluded, Beelzebub turned his back to us.
How about we go home? I need to manage a certain game that I created in the human realm. There would be problems if I ignore it for too long.
Are you talking about that, Ajuka? Or is this a different hobby of yours? Sir Zex inquired. Beelzebub's lips twisted in amusement.
Yes, a cherished hobby. By the way, Red Dragon Emperor, would you care to try my game? All you need is a smartphone.
His way of asking came off really creepy. I'm fine, I answered, politely declining. Beelzebub responded with a forced smile.
I see. That's a shame. I look forward to when we meet again. Rise to the next level.
Beelzebub deployed a magic circle, disappearing in a flash of light that made the air around us vibrate softly. Before I knew it, Asmodeus had vanished as well. He sure made a quick exit. We arranged a party at the Gremory estate to commemorate your success. The rest of Rias' family has already arrived, Sir Zex said. Seriously? Everyone's already in the underworld? And a party for me and the Prez? Count me in! I was rather pleased to hear this. Think about all this delicious food. It hadn't been long since I ate, but with everything that had happened today, I was starving. Huh? Grayfia was activating another magic circle. What was she up to? I watched skeptically when a creature, I couldn't tell whether it was a hawk or a lion, appeared from the array. Ah, I remember. It's a griffin. This is the one that helped me and the Prez escape her engagement party, I exclaimed. Sir Zex nodded. Yes, Grayfia and I will return by magic circle, but you and Riaz should let our friends here carry you. I had to wonder why. Surely it was quicker to jump there. This is a special present for Lady Riaz, Grayfia whispered into my ear to allay my doubts. Please accompany her, Master Issei. A present? That only left me more puzzled. There's one more thing. I was planning to announce this at the party, but I'll let you both know in advance. The date of your match against Sire Org has been decided. The Prez and I were left stunned by Sir Zex's revelation. After a long wait, our fated battle was now in sight. It will be around the same time as the Academy Festival at Kuo. We'll finalize the exact timing later on, but do plan that time frame in mind. The Academy Festival was to take place after our school trip. The match with Sire Org would be held after we returned from Kyoto. It looked like the second semester was going to be busy. After receiving the news, the Brents and I sat ourselves down on the griffin back and took off into the sky. Close to 10 minutes had passed since we began soaring over the underworld. The Prez and I stared down at the scenery below, a pleasant breeze blowing around us. This brought back memories. During the first semester, I had forced my way into the Prez's engagement party, activated my balance breaker for the first time, and beat the living daylights out of Riser Phoenix. Then I made off with the Prez. From her spot behind me, the Prez suddenly leaned against my back. This reminds me of last time. Same here. She had been thinking the same thing. Do you remember what you said back then, on the back of the griffin? Yeah, that I would help you no matter what, because I'm your pawn. That's right. The Prez wrapped her arms around my waist. She held on me tightly, as though refusing to ever let go. It was bliss. I was seriously overjoyed. I was essentially taken on a leisurely drive with a woman I loved. Only we were flying through the air on the back of a mythical creature. Nothing could have beat this. Oh, right. I said something else to her back then, too. Just so you know, my feelings haven't changed. I want to take your virginity. I announced boldly. The press looked startled at first, but then she sighed.
Do try to think about setting the mood a little better, Issei.
She scolded me. Maybe I'd been too upfront about my desires. Not a moment later, the press let out a soft chuckle and said,
We'll always be together, my beloved Issei.
Yup, of course. Someday, I wanted to call her my beloved Rias too.